that thing?
No,
not quite.
Not quite.
Not massive delay. I think we're okay.
Let's have a look and see if this is actually volumes, words.
Not massive delay. I think we're okay.
Waiting for it to speak, but
do I need to start speaking so that it backs it up? That sounds good to me.
Sorry, yeah, no, we're good.
We're good. Awesome. Flag on the play is in the building.
Woo.
Where should we start?
Should we start with the games, shall we?
Yeah.
Because I think that's as good a place as any, really.
Yeah.
What happened and what went wrong?
Where should we start? Let's think.
Should we get the Packers out of the way while no one else is here?
I was going to say let's go in order, but if you want to get the Packers out of the way.
I mean, here on this on the NFL site, it's got the Packers game as the top, so I'm just gonna. Aaron Donald wasn't truly healthy. Packers ran over them.
Yeah.
Cam Akers had a decent game against the Pack. However, Aaron Rodgers was just balling.
Yeah.
Also, Rams had one QB hit and one TFL.
Which kind of shows you how much of an impact Aaron Donald has.
Yeah, and the thing was that he was not double teamed as much as he usually is.
He was not up to full strength.
No, it was clear he wasn't truly healthy. But Elton Jenkins did a really good job at keeping him away from Aaron Rodgers, and the unnecessary roughness penalty that happened. I believe it was in the second quarter. The one Aaron Donald gave up.
No, I didn't.
I believe it was in the second quarter.
Okay.
Gave him 15 yards and a first down.
Yeah.
And we went on to score a touchdown from that, I think, to go up 10-3. That was one of the only snaps he was on the field at that time, and he was just mad because Elton Jenkins has called his number the whole first stint of the game.
Yeah.
So that was just incredible. And the Rams have got some really good pass rushers on their team.
Yeah.
And to get one QB hit.
Yeah.
Not even a sack, just a hit. They have players like Michael Brockers is good. Troy Reader gets sacks. Justin Hollins gets sacks. Leonard Floyd, Samson Ebukam. Players who have... so Leonard Floyd had double-digit sacks this year.
Yeah.
One tackle, two assisted tackles.
Yeah. I think that was not a concern for me, but that was something I was kind of saying last week, is that there were certain things about the Packers game or the Packers team that we were like, we need to test them. We need to see how they're going to hold up. Going deep into the playoffs, playing regularly against tough teams, and that O-line has proven actually they are potentially the best one of the remaining teams.
Of the remaining teams, yes.
I think obviously Tampa Bay's is okay.
Tampa Bay's is pretty good. I believe they do have an injury along that line, but I don't think it'll hamper them.
Yeah.
Alex Kappa's on IR.
Okay. Yeah.
Someone else who I had on the injury report, that I now can't find.
Hello, whose O-line's best? We were just saying Green Bay, Matt. We're going through the Green Bay game first.
Ali Marpet, full practice, so that's not a big deal.
Yeah. I think to be fair, we consistently say this, O-line is one of the most important things on your team, and you look at the four teams that are left, and all four teams have stellar O-lines. But I think the Packers absolutely proved themselves as the best O-line.
I mean, the only team I think who has an O-line that is at least the same is going to be the Browns. Sorry, I got a book.
Yeah, and the Browns obviously didn't make it. And
the Browns have a really good O-line, but that's more focused on run blocking.
Yeah.
So it's an incredible run blocking line. The thing with the Packers is they can do both.
Yeah. And
I think that's what sets them out.
You're absolutely right, Matt. That's why the Seahawks just don't get places.
Yeah. We've been saying this for years, haven't we?
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, his 8 years as a starter, as a player in the NFL for the Seahawks, he hasn't had a good, consistent O-line behind him or in front of him.
No.
And you think he was around in the Legion of Boom time? He could have won Super Bowls after Super Bowls.
Yeah. And I think that's why the Seahawks were good. Is because their defense was so dominant that it didn't matter how kind of their offense. And
absolutely.
It's just only recently when they've lost the Legion of Boom that the O-line are like, oh, actually, we've been being carried a bit. And you're absolutely right, Matt, as well. Again, like the Bills' O-line, really, really solid. Like they're surprisingly so. Like you think about the Ravens. The Ravens' defense played well, fair play to them, but at the same time, not good enough. Anything else you want to say about the Packers game? It was sort of one of those difficult ones that the Rams were not up to full strength, and so it was a bit of a walk in the park.
Yes. Yeah, I think had the Rams been healthy, I don't think it would have been too dissimilar, really.
No, I think the Packers still ease through it, but I think you have a little bit more pressure.
It would have been more pressure. Yeah. There are absolutely some differences, but I think the Rams' offense was very symptomatic of what's happened with the Rams' offense throughout the year. Jared Goff didn't get the greatest production. He went 21 of 27, which is good, but 174 yards and a touchdown.
One thing we can talk
also,
about. Matt's
play
got a really
calling.
good point. Jaylen Ramsey versus Devonte Adams. I've seen lots of opinions. I've seen Jaylen Ramsey wins it because Devonte Adams should be doing so much better. I've seen Devonte Adams wins it because it was game changing. Do you want to know my personal opinion?
Go on.
It's a team sport. It's I like fair play to Ramsey for covering him the way he did, but at the same time, he did give up a touchdown, and touchdowns are what counted.
Also gave up 9 catches for 66 yards. I get that the yardage isn't great, but Devonte Adams has hit. There's 3 stats: 9 plus receptions, 100 plus yards, 1 plus touchdowns. He's hit 2 of those in the game 7 times this year.
I think like Matt says again, Devonte Adams won because his team won. I think it's that it is that simple.
Also, Matt LaFleur won. Honestly, the Packers' play calling was incredible, and I think that stood out a little bit. Sean McVay had a couple of good play calls, but it was much more consistent and constant play calls from Matt LaFleur that helped us win.
Yeah, and I think that was evident on that touchdown, and I thought that the one that Matt's talking about, Jaylen, it was a very, very cleverly designed play. Devonte Adams goes in motion to one side of the field, Ramsey follows him, motions back to the other side, Ramsey can't keep up, and they get the touchdown.
So the good thing about that play was Ramsey goes to the other side of the field and then gets set. And so he's seen Devonte Adams go in motion, and he's assuming he's going to start off from this position, so he has to get set. And so he stops. Devonte Adams just immediately cuts back. And then the ball is snapped. Which is brilliant play calling because it means the linebackers are moving. And so Jaylen Ramsey doesn't have a clear path then to cover Devonte Adams, and it's just an easy 1-yard score.
I've seen a lot of discussion about it because if Ramsey doesn't give up that touchdown, then potentially his stat line looks a little bit better. And so some people go, Ramsey wins the matchup because the touchdown wasn't his fault. I just think, actually, Like Matt, you're saying, like it was impossible for Ramsey to do anything, and the way to defend it would have been ironic. I'm going to pick Ramsey as we talk about would have been one of the other defenders to cover him. But then this is the thing. This is my question for that. If Ramsey is getting mad at one of the other guys covering him, why did Ramsey follow him back across the field?
Yeah.
Like if it's not Ramsey's job to cover him, then why is he following him? And if they want to double cover Adams, then I understand. Then yes, someone's messed up, but also Ramsey is one of those double covers. So
yeah, and it's clear that he's not on the player or the ball, so he's also messed up.
Yeah, so he can't blame. I thought that was really symptomatic for me of Ramsey as a player. Like as I've obviously kind of known. Watched Ramsey for a while, being a Jaguars fan, and actually, like, you can't deny his talent, but his attitude gets in the way of his game.
Yes,
and it's
also I think you can't put too much of that play on either player. You've got to put a lot of it down.
Play.
It's an incredibly well-designed play.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can't.
And I think it's stuff like that that's kind of what's kept Green Bay going. Is really clever play designs.
Yeah, it's like I've seen a lot of things recently from the poor Cowboys fans looking at Green Bay's success in recent years, mainly because of Matt LaFleur, and looking at the Mike McCarthy hire as a head coach and going, maybe we made a mistake.
I said it was a bad decision.
Yeah,
I said it was a bad decision.
Yeah, I think we've known for a long time, and that's why he got fired, that Mike McCarthy is a decent coach. He will give you wins, but he's not going to win you kind of big awards or kind of championships and things, because he had Aaron Rodgers and couldn't do it.
Yeah. And I think the thing about that Mike McCarthy scheme is it's very pass heavy. It's very let's focus on throwing the ball. And that's probably stemmed from we have Aaron Rodgers, let's throw the ball.
Yeah.
But it's shown that when your QB goes down, and it's happened with the Packers in the past, when Aaron Rodgers has gone down, we can't pick up the slack.
Yeah.
And that's shown with
the
Dak going down. Yeah. And even when Dak was healthy, you didn't get very many wins because your defense was terrible.
Yeah.
It's kind
bold prediction from Matt. We'll get there. Yeah.
I'm saying no, and I'll tell you why in a little bit.
Yeah, we will get there. No, let's talk about it now. Let's do Buccaneers Saints and then do NFC.
Yeah.
I don't think the Saints should have lost, and that's why I don't think Brady beat the Packers, because if you look at their stat lines, there are two major differences. Otherwise, they're exactly the same. They are pretty much identical. There are two major differences. Number one is the rushing. Both Kamara and Leonard Fournette, who we're calling their number one running backs, did well. 60-plus yards.
Leonard Fournette had 17 carries, 66 yards.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, 18 carries, 85 yards.
Yeah. So, good games from both of them. Sam, could you give me the stats of the backup running backs?
Ty Montgomery, this is Saints, 4 carries, 14 yards. Drew Brees, 2 carries, 3 yards. Dwayne Washington, 1 carry, 2 yards.
Yeah.
For the Bucks, Ronald Jones, 13 carries, 62 yards.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, 5 carries, 2 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah. So that's the ultimately that was the main difference, and you kind of go, well, why was that? And I think you look at the injuries for the Saints. They were missing both Taysom Hill and Latavius Murray, their number 2 running back. And I think that actually just shows it to me. I think actually if you have those two in, Taysom Hill creates a mismatch that people aren't prepared for. Latavius Murray has played really well this season. I think actually with those two in, that fixes their running game. They're able to run the clock down more. They're able to give Drew Brees a break and Kamara a break. And then I think it was only a loss by 10 points. I think they make up those 10 points in those those recoveries.
Here's another thing.
Yeah,
passing wise, sorry, this might be going into what you're going. what you're going to say. But passing-wise, they're very similar apart from one thing. So Brady was 18 of 33, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the Saints were... Breeze was 19 of 34 for 134 yards, a touchdown and 3 picks. Jameis Winston had 1 completion off of 1 attempt for 56 yards and a touchdown. And so that it comes down to those turnovers, those interceptions, and I think half of that was on Drew Brees. Part of it was kind of Bucks defense played all right, played decent. I mean, Jared Cook had a fumble, but I think it's not all on him for that. I think it's all. I think partially you've got to think about scheming as well.
Yeah. I think I absolutely agree. I think part of the turnovers are on Breeze, but and that's why I think actually with those injuries in that rushing game, I think they leaned on that a little bit more. I think rather than forcing him to throw, kind of defense played well. But I think that's it. I think I appreciate that Brady played well, and I know Brady in the playoffs is good. But Sam, what was his stats?
He had under 55% completion percentage.
Yeah.
To start with, not great. Under 200 yards throwing, again, and he had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Passing, which is good, which is solid, is what you want your QB to get.
Yeah.
But 18 of 33.
Yeah. 15
incompletions.
I get that. I think that's what I was sort of buying into, is that everyone kind of says he had a good game and it's playoff Brady and all of this, but actually if you look at the stats, he did not play well. And
Antonio Brown caught 1 of 3. Mike Evans caught 1 of 3. Gronkowski caught 1 of 5.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin caught 4 of 7, which is pushing it. You want him to get... It's better, but it's still not great. Your best receiver of the day arguably was your running back, Leonard Fournette.
Who had 60 yards or something.
5 receptions, 44 yards, 1 touchdown, off of 6 targets.
And I think actually...
Cameron Brate had 50 yards but no touchdown, and yeah.
I think... I've forgotten what I was going to say now. So yes, that's it. One of the reasons that Brady may have had low yardage is because he didn't have very far to go. But I think that... And so I think that's... So it's difficult to assess. That's basically my point. Because of the turnovers, Brady didn't have very far to go. So we don't know whether he played well or not, because that low yardage may just be he did not have far to go, because he only had like half fields to manage rather than 70 plus yards.
You had Tampa Bay had 316 total yards of offense.
That's surprisingly low.
Yeah. I'm just going to have a quick look at what happened in the Rams-Packers.
And that's
I want to see what
Matt,
the Rams got.
That's the big point for me. That's what I got from watching that game. He did what he was asked. Absolutely. I think that was...
Packers had 484 yards of offense. Let's put that there. For the same amount of points.
Yeah. And so
also,
I think...
Gronk did not do what was asked of him. If you're talking about
Brady.
Brady, did what he was asked of. Are you saying don't talk bad about Gronk? I will. Gronk caught 1 of 5 targets for 14 yards.
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing. For me, this is what a playoff game should...
doesn't lie.
For me, this was what a playoff game should be. And I think this is why the playoffs works, is that you weed out all the teams that aren't playing football. or that kind of have actual problems, and you get to all the teams that are playing football and are playing well, and it's just a competitive game.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw from the Saints Buccaneers matchup. That no team had kind of particular faults. It was just that the Buccaneers played better, I think, or at least did what was asked of them. I think that's sometimes when we look at the NFL, we look too much at analytics.
I mean, this is a really interesting stat. Saints had less penalties, had a much better third down efficiency, 54% to 47. 4.9 yards per play. Tampa Bay had 4.6. They had 20 less rushing yards, 1 more passing yard total when you counter in sacks.
Yeah.
But it's the 4 turnovers. Yeah. And Saints didn't allow a sack, but it's the 4 turnovers.
Yeah. And I think if you look at those 4 turnovers, like one was a fumble, so that's just a good defensive play. Well done.
Yeah.
The interceptions, there were 3 interceptions, am I right?
Yes.
If I remember correctly, 2 of them were bad. 1 of them was like a tip or kind of not really Breeze's fault.
I'm just looking at them now to see.
I mean, you could argue that all interceptions are the quarterback's fault because they should throw it in the place where they could be kicked to court. But
yeah, okay. One was a tip that absolutely should have been caught by the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
One was just really good play by Devin White.
Yeah.
He played really well. Managed to read the pass really well. There was a bit of miscommunication between Breeze and Kamara.
Yeah.
Is a big thing. Let's find the other one. And the other one was, they've got Michael Thomas. What sort of route are they going to run with Michael Thomas? Slant. And so he undercuts it really well.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So I think it's more on scheming, and it's not entirely on Breeze.
Yeah. Does Breeze retire now?
Yes.
That's the sense I got from that game and from the way he walked off the field and things. I think it was.
Yeah. So there was a really almost heart-wrenching moment where he was walking off the field and he looks behind him, almost as if he's having one last look at the stadium.
Yeah.
It also sounds like he's mouthing to Jameis Winston at some point near the end of the game, saying it's your team now.
Yeah.
Obviously, he hasn't said anything, but I heard the press conference he had after the game. Didn't sound like he was pushing for another year, but again, he didn't mention anything about retiring.
Yeah.
When someone asked him about what's going to factor into your retirement decision, he said, I'm going to keep that to myself for now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we won't know until he says, really.
Yeah.
On the subject of retiring, and seeing as we've just finished NFC, sort of, Philip Rivers.
Yeah. Good quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean,
good quarterback.
Yeah, a bit of a gunslinger. Kind of bit of a
absolutely
loose cannon.
This is something that I've seen on the NFL news. Philip Rivers' career defined by buoyant personality, inconsistency in big moments.
Yeah, I think that is the difference. If it's Jameis Winston, I think a Jameis Winston-led Saints could be really dangerous and really scary.
Same, yeah. I think Sean Payton has the talent and the ability to scheme correctly, as he's shown he can do.
Yeah. Dangerous to themselves. Yeah.
I mean, that was the Buccaneers last year. But yeah, I think Jameis Winston at the Saints with Sean Payton could do well. And if Jameis Winston throws under 20 interceptions, it'll be a positive. If he throws under 15, it'll be a positive.
Yeah.
And I think Sean Payton can absolutely get that out of him.
Yeah. I think that's potentially what Breeze was feeling, and that's how I looked at it. Is the Saints really should have won that game, considering the way they've played this season. They really should have won that game, and it looked like Breeze sort of acknowledged that and went, actually, this team is kind of as good as it's going to be, and maybe it's my time to move on.
Yeah. I think it is, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's got a nice job lined up for him.
Yeah.
NBC, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought he was coaching. Not
that's
coaching.
Rivers. Sorry.
Oh yeah, Rivers is coaching. No, I thought Breeze was as well, but no.
No. Breeze is going to go NBC analyst or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rivers. I think that was the right for him as well.
Some interesting news. The Eagles are likely to hire Nick Sirianni as their new head coach.
Who? Wait. Is that the backup guy?
Colts OC.
Oh. Right.
Colts
okay.
OC.
Should we do AFC first, or should we go to coaches?
I really don't mind.
Let's go coaches. We're talking about it now.
Okay.
God, where to start? I suppose we've got to start at Jaguars hiring Urban Meyer.
Yeah, they got their guy, but is it the right guy?
I am incredibly skeptical, personally.
I've warmed to the idea a little bit, but I'm still kind of.
He's a great coach.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. The Jaguars are trying to make it as easy as he can to transition to the NFL, so that's great. They're really taking his health into account and all of that, and that's great. I think they are providing for him in the best way they can, which I think is great on the part of the organisation, and I think it's just great for him as a coach, and that's all great.
Yeah.
My problem, the Jaguars, before setting out to hire coaches, were like, we want Urban Meyer, and we're probably going to hire the interim GM we've got already as our GM.
Yeah.
But then they said, actually, we're gonna do a thorough kind of coaching investigation. We're gonna make sure we pick the right guy, and kind of run some interviews and things.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. Good. Do that. They then interviewed 3 guys, went, Urban Meyer's our guy, we're just waiting to see if he actually wants to come coach. And it's like, okay. So,
something I've noticed, coaching-wise, is that teams have noticed what's happened with Matt LaFleur, with Sean McVay, and they're going, let's hire some young, white, offensive-minded coaches.
Yeah.
When there are much better coaches out there.
I think this is that. I think potentially my problem with, maybe this is just how the league works. We haven't had a coaching change spree like this in a while.
Yeah.
Or at least kind of the 5 years we've been fans and things.
Yeah.
So maybe this isn't kind of different than normal, but teams have hired really quickly. Quickly.
Yeah.
And that actually, so my complaint about the Jaguars is a complaint of all teams. Why have they not taken time to make these decisions? I think some teams have made great decisions. I think the Jaguars, some teams like the Jaguars have made risky decisions that may pan out, may not.
I think the problem with Urban Meyer is that he's got his own health issues.
Yeah.
As well, so it's kind of, or he's got a history of it.
Yeah.
So I think it's unlike Ron Rivera getting cancer.
Yeah,
but,
I like what Jacksonville are doing and completely resetting. As in,
yes,
Urban
I think that's the
in,
right thing to do.
He was helping with the GM hire as well. They're gonna pick out a great coaching staff to help him out in his transition and his health and all of that. But like you say, I would feel in the Jaguars' position, why are you not going with something that has... I think Urban Meyer could be the greatest decision they've ever made. So maybe it's...
It could be a really good decision, but I think also it could be quite a bad one.
Yeah, and obviously that's a massive risk, and maybe it's just me as a Jaguars fan going, why are you taking yet another risk? The Jaguars have always taken risks, and it's never paid off. So part of me in this situation is actually, do you know what Jacksonville fans want? They want you to go get Eric Bieniemy, offense coordinator of the Chiefs, or Robert Saleh, kind of defensive coordinator of the 49ers, both Super Bowl bound teams last year.
Yeah.
And
we want to go 8-8.
Yeah. And I think actually Matt's right as well, is that, or this is a good point that I looked at picking the Urban Meyer, is that Urban Meyer didn't want to coach in the NFL. He was just waiting for the perfect job. And I'm like, do we really want a coach who's only here because we're providing him with the perfect opportunity? And that worries me.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the risk, for the kind of what it's going to provide.
I mean, it is one of those things. Will people think higher of him because he's had Trevor Lawrence? It's like Mike McCarthy in Green Bay.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same sort of thing. Yeah. They had Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And so Mike McCarthy got a good job in Dallas, and it's shown that he's not the greatest.
Mm. Two things I will say about Urban Meyer, though. No one else wanted him, which worries me a little bit.
Yeah.
But that could show that actually he had his allegiance to Jacksonville the whole time.
Yeah.
But also, I actually, and I agree with you, Matt. Actually, they've gone taking this risk. It's potentially one of those risks that goes, actually, we care. We're ready to make a difference. We want to make a change. We want to, because they haven't gone for a coordinator or a safe one that they know has coaching experience. They've gone for a risk, and that's going to be it's going to be interesting.
I mean, Urban Meyer was the head coach of Florida.
Yeah.
For 5 years, 2005 to 2010.
Yeah.
So he is. Yeah. So he is going back to Florida.
Yes.
However, he was born in Ohio and was a Ohio State head coach for 6 years there. Yeah. Has he not been coaching for 3 years?
He's been an analyst.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen some of his analysis. He knows his stuff. He's a good coach. He essentially created the read option, or like the RPO. I said that he didn't, but
he retired from coaching in 2018.
Yeah, retired. It was also a little dodgy, but
due to health reasons. It says here.
Yeah.
He's the 7th head coach of the Jags.
Yeah.
7 head coaches over 20 years.
It's not awful. Could be worse.
Yeah. It's not great.
I'm going to go rapid fire some good coaching things, I think. New York Jets and Robert Saleh is potentially the best one.
Brilliant. That is incredible.
Yeah, Matt, it's not great either, 7-20, but Robert Saleh, fantastic. Jets defense has some pieces, has some potential.
And we have seen that some players are quite good on that defense.
Yeah.
This year, and we've got there's a couple of former first round picks. Yeah. On that defense as well.
Quinnen Williams, Marcus Mayer's played well. I think Robert Saleh can. I think they won't need to worry too much about the offense when Saleh comes in and changes that defense. And so
I mean they have Marcus May as well. Looks good.
Yeah. So I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Detroit Lions 6-year deal. Dan Campbell, I think, is a great hire.
I'm not quite so sure on that, but I think it could be decent.
Well, he's had 20 years.
He did play for the Lions.
Yeah.
Before, as a fun fact.
But also, he's been a Saints assistant head coach. Had 20 years experience. I don't think he's been a head coach.
He's been coaching since 2010. He's been playing since '99.
Oh right, okay.
So he was at the Giants for a few years, at the Cowboys, at the Lions, and then at the Saints for a year to end his career. So he played for 10 years as a tight end.
Yeah.
Then he was at the Dolphins for 5 years, then at the Saints since 2016.
Yeah.
As assistant head coach and tight ends coach,
yeah.
I think, yeah.
And I think I really like this hire because 6 years I think is good. I think 6 years gives him chance to build a team or to build what he wants to do there. It also gives him a chance to deal with quarterback, whether he keeps Matt Stafford for those 6 years or whether he moves on.
I don't think he keeps Stafford on for 6 years, to be honest.
Sorry?
I don't think you keep Matt Stafford for that long, to be honest. I think you let him go as soon as his contract's up.
Fair enough. So I think it will be really interesting. I like that hire personally. I think it makes sense.
Matt. The second projected, or the projected second overall pick is an offensive lineman, not defensive lineman. However, the Jets probably could do with that as well.
Yeah, it's true. Another hire I like, Arthur Smith, Titans offensive coordinator. Titans have had amazing offense
that
for
one's
a while.
decent. Yeah,
that's. I really like that. I'm surprised the Falcons went for him. I would have gone potentially with the Falcons with someone
defensive minded, really.
Yeah, they've got defensive pieces
I would
there.
have liked to see their interim stay on.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get a coordinator position. I know the Jaguars are looking, and
I believe it was Romeo Crennel. No, that's Texans.
No.
Sorry,
Raheem Morris.
Raheem Morris. That's it.
You like the Chargers' choice? Rams defensive coordinator Brandon Staley. Yeah,
That's good. He hasn't had. I looked it up briefly. He hasn't had the most coaching experience, so he's only been a coordinator for a year.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's been a position coach.
Yeah. My favourite hire, I think, is Robert Saleh. I don't think there's any question with that one.
Yeah, Robert Saleh.
I think Dan Campbell's probably my next favourite. I quite.
But yeah,
and then I'd put
Eagles
Arthur Smith and Brandon Staley on the same sort of level. Good coordinators that hopefully will do well.
Yeah. So yeah, no. So Eagles have just it's kind of swirling around the news that the Eagles are going to hire Nick Sirianni. The Colts offensive coordinator. First off, the Colts offense hasn't been the greatest thing.
Yeah.
He has a bit of coaching experience, so he's been an offensive quality control coach, assistant quarterbacks coach, wide receiver coach, quarterback coach, receiver coach. He's been offensive coordinator for 3 years, 2018 to 2020.
I agree with that as well. I think Chargers' choice is really good considering he'll stay in LA as well. Yeah, that defense has got loads of pieces that they need to get playing again.
Yeah, I think that's why I disagree with the firing of Anthony Lynn.
Yeah,
it's because of the amount of injuries they had. You can't blame that on the coach.
No,
entirely, anyways.
Anthony Lynn will become a coordinator. There's no question there.
Yeah. I think he should have stayed. To be honest, he got you to the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And you're saying just because we had injuries and didn't get to the playoffs this year, went 7-9 with a rookie quarterback, you're going to fire him?
Yeah.
That's something that I really disliked.
Yeah.
To be honest, out of all the head coaching changes, he should not have been fired.
Yeah. What were you saying about Eagles guy?
I don't know. But so he was the offensive coordinator of the Colts for a few seasons, for 3 years. And the Colts offense hasn't been great.
Hasn't been awful.
Hasn't been awful, but it hasn't been top notch.
No.
He has been offensive quality control coach for the Chiefs, and then the Chargers.
I guess.
And then was quarterback
like says,
coach, and then was receiver coach. So.
Yeah. I guess, like Matt said, that's again fixing an issue. They are going, we need an offensive guy in here.
I don't know if they do, to be honest.
Well, no, I think they need
like
a guy
the Eagles. Eagles are the sort of team who need just someone anywhere. To be honest, I see them needing a defensive guy as much as they need an offensive guy. Because if you think of some of the talent they've got on that defense and the fact it hasn't played well.
Yeah, true. Eagles need anything, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you think they have Fletcher Cox, Darius Slay. Some really good players.
Yeah.
And they're kind of a very middle-of-the-road defense. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. I think I would go defense over offense any day anyway, but I think in the circumstances, I think it all makes sense.
Yeah. Sorry, I've just got my Twitter feed open because I've got a bunch of NFL people. So I just got that news about Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of Packers players tweeting about Ted Thompson.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, passed away. He was the Packers GM for a long time. Passed away today at the age of 68. So, thoughts with family and friends and everything.
I'm gonna
got the Packers to a Super Bowl and won that, so I think that's
always
positive in
an
it. So,
accolade.
Yeah.
I'm going to start
AFC,
with,
sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm going to start AFC with Ravens Bills, because then we can talk about the Browns Chiefs for a while.
Yes. Have I got stuff to say about that?
Yeah. Bills Ravens, fantastic defense. I think that was just that entire game.
Another thing that hampered them, it was very, very windy.
Yeah.
And so it was difficult to throw the ball very well.
Yeah.
I think that
game.
I mean, it showed the Bills had 220 yards of offense.
Yeah.
And 206 of those were passing, so they only had 32 rushing yards. Which is kind of worrying. However, they're not going to need it against the Chiefs, but that's another.
Yeah, I think the Bills just still looked really solid. I think actually
they did. Their defense looked pretty.
Defense
good.
is really good. O-line's good. Josh Allen's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think they have shown that they don't need a running game, which is really surprising. That actually they've got enough of a running game to provide them relief and a break when they need a break.
Yeah, they had 4 sacks on the day as well.
Yeah, I think the big difference in that one was just that pick six, and I think actually
that was incredible.
That it changes like 101-yard pick six completely changes the game, and I think actually sums up the game. That actually, if the Ravens score there, it's 10-10 or something. And
let's have a look. Yeah. Wait, no.
10-10.
Yes, it would have been 10-10. Sorry.
So I'm kind of. So again, I think it's another great game played by both teams, but I think that's the thing. That one mistake, much like Breeze's interceptions, cost the game.
Yeah.
Actually, from watching the game, I don't think the Ravens had enough production, and the Bills' defense was too good to kind of for the Ravens, I think, to be.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson went down with concussion as well.
That too, yeah.
Partway through the game, which I think didn't help.
No. So I think it was pretty. I was just quite happy because it was pretty okay. Both defenses played well. Bills' offense is played better than Ravens' offense, which we knew they would.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the fact that the Bills still managed to throw the ball fairly well in the very high winds that there were at the time is kind of a testament to how well they've built that team and how well they've built that passing game.
Yeah.
When you've got Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley, one of the best slot receivers in the game at the moment, combining to do quite well.
Yeah.
Matt saying, you think it was a very boring game. Those are the sorts of games I love seeing. Games that people think are boring. That might sound weird,
defense is playing well.
But it's apart from that Cowboys-Eagles game I watched a while back, this season was absolutely atrocious. But those boring games I love to see because they are so defensively minded. And you've got good defenses going against each other. And you can see good players who don't usually stand out because the offense is what the NFL focuses on.
Yeah.
I love those sorts of games.
Up against the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go there.
I'm livid.
First of all, Chad Henne, well played. He came in and played pretty decently. To back up Mahomes must be one of the most difficult jobs in the world because Mahomes is the most talented player in the NFL. I would argue. And so to back him up is just an unbelievably hard job. And he, like we said before, he did what was asked of him. He just, in a time when the Browns were gaining momentum, were ready to take that game away from them, he did what he needed to do. He got first downs, he made throws. Yes, he made a bad interception. But I think fair play to him, basically. That could have got out of hand. And I guess I got to say fair play to the Chiefs defense then as well for putting enough pressure on to prevent the Browns coming back. I think this was... I almost predicted every game right this week. I kind of said I picked Saints over Buccaneers, but that was that one game. I said that and this was what frustrated me so much about this game. I said that the Chiefs will win, but the Browns have the tools to win, and they did, and they should have, but they didn't. And it was just really frustrating to watch the Browns succeed and then fail.
Before you say that briefly, I'm just going to answer who's a better slot receiver than Cole Beasley. No one, really.
Michael Gallup.
Cooper Kupp, Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen plays a lot in the slot here. Chris Godwin plays a lot in the slot.
Scotty Miller's had a good game. Yeah.
Scotty Miller's had a good year. However, Cole Beasley's been the best this year.
I think he has, yeah.
Hunter Renfrow is good in the slot.
Yeah, that's true.
And is becoming a really reliable target for Derek Carr in Vegas. But I still think, Cole Beasley's been incredible this year.
Yeah.
Devonte Adams has played out of the slot a bit, actually,
but
this
he's
year.
not a slot receiver.
No, he's played like 27% of his snaps in the slot. But yeah, back to Chiefs Browns.
Yeah. I think let's talk about it. I think that the incident.
Yes.
End of the first half. Fantastic throw by Mayfield into Higgins. Dives for touchdown. Loses the ball. Counts as a touchback because he fumbles it out the back of the end zone.
So he passes it to Rashad Higgins, and it's a 20, and it looks like it's going to be like 26-yard touchdown. He gets to the 1-yard line and is absolutely smacked by Dan Sorensen. And touchback rule comes into effect, which is the worst rule you'll ever see in NFL.
I think actually, we won't. I think just to sort of sidetrack on the touchback rule, we won't talk about it forever because it's a rule. I think ultimately,
I've just off the top of my head, I have an idea how you could change it.
I also do as well. Go for it.
Spot the ball where the fumble happened. How many times do you see fumbles going kind of like 2 or 3 yards outside of where it was fumbled?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I was going to say, when a fumble what is the purpose about fumbles? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what is this is the question I was saying. What is the purpose of fumbles? An offense does not intend to fumble the ball. A defensive player attempts to create a fumble to get possession back.
Yeah.
That is why, usually, they go to rip the ball out. They go to rip the ball out all the time, but usually in the middle of the field because they know if it's near the edge of the field, it will go out of bounds and it will be the offense's ball.
Yeah. And I like that rule.
And I
think that's a good
agree.
rule.
I think that's right.
That if you fumble it out of bounds, you get it back.
Yeah,
because no one's got clear possession of the ball.
And also, if you think about it, it's got to be played within the confines of the game has to be played in the confines of the field. And so if you take kind of European football or soccer, if you can't keep the ball inside the pitch, you give it to the other team.
Yeah.
But that's because you have the pitch to be able to pass the ball amongst you.
Yeah.
In the NFL, it's all about gaining yards. Therefore, going out the field is actually a good thing because you are stopping your own progress, if you see what I mean. And that's why
you're also stopping the clock as you go out of bounds. That's
exactly. So if you think about what the purpose of fumbles is, why defenders try to force fumbles in the middle of the field rather than the edge, and we all agree that the sideline is there for its purpose to stop the clock. To defenders want to push people out of bounds and all of that.
Yeah.
The touchback rule no longer makes sense because a defensive player could force a fumble on the 1-yard line and then kick it backwards into their own end zone and get the ball at the 20-yard line.
This is just coming into what you're saying and what Matt said. I don't agree with you there, Matt, because you're saying the last team who touches the ball inbounds gets it. In fumbles, there's always a scramble for the ball, and I think for possession to change hands, there must be a clear change of possession. There must be a clear recovery of the ball. And if that's unclear, then it's going to be ruled in favour of the offence. And I think that's completely the right thing to do. And I think if the ball gets fumbled out of bounds, the last team to have clear possession of the ball should keep possession.
Yeah.
Because it's shown the other team is unable to gain possession of the ball before it goes out of bounds.
Yeah.
And so and that's kind of why, and I think it still comes into the touchback rule. The opposite team has been unable to gain possession of the ball after the fumble.
Yeah. Oh, that's
bring it back.
That's what I meant.
Okay. Sorry, your wording was kind of made it sound like you can bat it out of bounds and it'll be your ball.
So,
it's shown that they can't get possession of the ball in bounds. They can't show that there's a clear change of possession.
Yeah.
Give it back to the team who had possession.
And so, the touchback rule, you are rewarding the defense for creating a fumble into their own end zone.
Yeah.
Which just seems weird to me, because if the offense has got so close to your end zone, why are you suddenly being rewarded with the ball?
Yeah, and here's the thing: if you recover, if you defensively recover a fumble in your own end zone, it's a touchback.
Yeah.
Because you've shown you've managed to gain possession.
Yeah.
So if you fumble it out of the end zone, where's the gain in possession from that?
Yeah.
What there has gone, we've managed to gain possession of the ball by him fumbling it a yard in front rather than a yard to the side.
Yeah. My last comments on it. First of all, it's a stupid rule, but it's a rule. We kind of have to give up. Until they we can lobby for it to be changed, but we can't complain with the result of the game because of that. Because a rule's a rule, as much as kind of any of the other rules are.
Yeah.
And that's
however, this brings us on to.
Well, actually, I have a
helmet-to-helmet contact. Okay.
I have a second thing. Sorry. My other thing was going to be. Yeah, exactly. Was what Matt said. Difficult to change is what do you change it to? So I like your idea of spotting it where the fumble goes. I personally give it to the offense at the 20-yard line, no matter the situation.
I think that works as well, to be honest.
Because, like in Mayfield's case, he was probably at the 40, threw it 20 yards and run or something.
It was a 25-yard throw.
Yeah. So
that means to the 1. So they were at the Kansas City 26.
Okay. So they gained 6 yards or something. And now imagine he's at the 5-yard line and that happens. They then move back 15 yards.
Yeah.
But that's what I think. I think that's fair.
It would have to. It would have to be first. Would it be first down at that point, or would you say
they have fumbled it into the end zone. They have not got a touchdown.
No.
So what if the offense recovers a fumble at the 50, and they lose 30? No, sorry, as in their opponent's 20. So so they're in the red. So they get an automatic red zone possession wherever they are on the field, and that feels fair to me.
If they fumble it into the back of the end zone, that makes sense.
Because to fumble it into the end zone, you have to be close to the end zone, which means they were close to scoring anyway. The fumble then may be caused by the defense, in which case, if the defense couldn't recover it and the best they could do is get out of bounds, then the 20-yard line gives.
If you think the defense forces a fumble and the ball goes out of bounds, the ball is spotted where the ball went out of bounds.
Yeah.
And the offense gets it, so I think the offense should get it no matter what.
and that's what I'm saying is that if the defense makes a really great fumble but it accidentally goes out of bounds, then the 20-yard line, then it puts it at the 20-yard line rather than the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
Because I think that's potentially kind of fairer as well. So that would be my thing. I agree with you. I don't know whether it would be I think it would depend on the play. I think I think that's where it gets difficult. So for example, like the Browns one, if he hadn't fumbled it, would have given them a first down or a touchdown, then I think you give them a first down. If you're at the 1-yard line and you fumble it and it goes out of bounds, I don't think you get a first down.
No.
I don't know.
So it has to do with whether you're behind the 20. Yeah.
And I think 20-yard line
if getting to the 20 gives you a first down or not.
Yeah. And I also think 20-yard line gives you a guaranteed field goal. So yes, you may have missed a touchdown, but you missed a touchdown by fumbling it.
Yeah. And you've still got the chance to score points.
Yeah, that would lead to teams just drop kicking it in the end zone, though. I think that's difficult. I think I agree with you that there's potential for that rule to be manipulated. But to deliberately fumble it into the opposing team's end zone just so you can get to the 20-yard line, you have to
rather than just going for the touchdown.
Yeah, and also you would have to be close to their end zone anyway. And that's why I say 20-yard line rather than 1-yard line, because then, like you say, they could somehow miraculously get it all that way far, but then you're giving them a 20-yard line, kind of giving them a red zone possession rather than kind of close to a touchdown or something.
Yeah. I also think... what was I going to think? If they've gotten that far, or if they've got a play that's going to get them that far, surely you just go for the touchdown.
Yeah.
And if you drop kick it into the end zone, that's going to be a change of possession. Yeah. If you miss a field goal and the opposing player manages to catch it, that's theirs.
Yeah.
It would be like punting it into the back of the end zone. At which point it becomes the opposite team's possession from their 20.
Yeah. I get your point, Matt, but as far as I'm aware, you're not allowed to deliberately kick the ball if you're not punting or kicking.
I could tell someone's just watched the Brady punts a field goal video. I can't remember.
Actually, no. I think
the proper ruling on that.
I think you're allowed to kick it even like on a passing down, but then I think it counts as a punt rather than a fumble.
Yeah. It counts as either like a punt or a field goal attempt.
Yeah, and that's why I think that's where I think the rule changed. That's why I think it doesn't become a problem, because then to deliberately fumble is really, really difficult. Because if you put any force into the fumble, it counts as a throw.
If your arm's going forwards, but
yeah. Thank you to our new follower, 24 Blue, who I've just noticed.
Woo.
Sorry,
Matt. I was talking to you. You've just seen the Brady punts a field goal. It's an impressive play, to be honest.
Because I think, I really do think that more teams should line up on 4th down to do a play, but then if they can't see it working, then the quarterback should just punt it. Because if you line up to go for it, the defense isn't going to rush you as if you were punting it. And if they are going to rush you as if you were punting it, you should have an open play. So
yeah,
it's my personal.
Oh, you haven't seen it, Matt. Oh wait, is it? It's Doug Flutie. Sorry, not Brady.
Different Patriots.
Different Patriots quarterback. They let him drop kick an extra point for no apparent reason. Essentially.
Massive head.
Yeah.
Surely you can get a guy with massive head-to-head. Yeah. Potentially.
American footballs are hard, though. They're not made in the same way you get a regular football made. Regular footballs, you have little bits of padding within the ball.
Yeah, that's true.
American football, they're hard, even when you're wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to get hit in the side of the head with one of them.
Go on, Sam, helmet to helmet.
Clear helmet to helmet. I don't think you can really argue it.
I've seen a lot of pundits say that it wasn't helmet to helmet, and I can't believe that. I don't understand.
Look, the first contact is made with the helmet to the helmet.
Yeah.
There is no way you can say that wasn't helmet to helmet contact.
And also, do you know the thing that bugs me?
Go
on. That even if it's not helmet to helmet, even if you're not ruling it as helmet to helmet, he pulls his arms back, which means
he doesn't go out forwards with his arms to try and poke the ball away, which is what I would do in that situation. Try and poke the ball out.
Yeah, which, as you say, Matt, that's already a penalty. As far as I'm aware, there are two different penalties. There's helmet to helmet contact, but then there's also leading with the helmet, lowering the helmet to initiate contact.
Yeah.
And if he's pulling his arms back, that's what he's doing. And I've seen people say, like, well, if he doesn't lead with his head, what's he supposed to do? He pulled his arms back.
Lead with his hand. Lead with your hands.
If he didn't pull his arms back, his arms would get further than his head, and he would be able to fumble that ball out at the 1 yard line. I know, obviously, that's not what he wants, because obviously he gets the touchback, but
yeah, it's just
it's the thing that really
honestly the NFL. Sorry to respond to Matt.
Matt, you should lead with your shoulder. I think that's the
absolutely. And helmet to helmet contact should always be enforced, in my mind. Not only if he's leading with it, always enforce it.
Yeah.
The NFL is putting a massive thing on safety over the last few years, and so it just makes sense to help stop so many concussions and everything happening in the league and health problems down the line. It makes sense to penalise every helmet-to-helmet hit.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I can't quite get as well, is the NFL are really hot on this. So how come how come they haven't reviewed this or fined Sorensen for it? Like, I know that they were reviewing it, so why have we not heard anything?
Yeah.
Like, what has happened? Like, and I agree, absolutely, Matt, you can't accidentally initiate helmet to helmet either. I don't think people realise how dangerous brain injuries are. Like, an arm will heal. Like, as in you can mend broken bones. You can, and all of these things. Brain injuries do not heal. The brain does not heal the same way a broken arm does.
Yeah.
You just lose brain cells; they don't come back. And So watch towards the end of the first half of the Browns-Chiefs game.
If you look up Daniel Sorensen hit or something like that, or just even Chiefs versus Browns hit, it'll probably come up.
Yeah. It just. Yeah.
And the other thing that annoys me is, fun fact: Raheem Morris has just been hired.
Oh, by who?
Rams, DC.
Interesting. See, he was potentially going to go to Jacksonville, but he's not.
Yeah, he's just been hired as the Rams defensive coordinator.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt.
Yeah, and here's another thing I hate about that hit. It's not just the hit, and then the league have gone, we're not going to suspend him. We've got no word on the fine. We've got no word if he's going to be fined or not, but he's not being suspended. I agree with that, but we haven't heard about a fine at all.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find the tweet I'm looking for.
I think the tweet you're thinking of.
Here we go, I found it. That play happens, and the Kansas City Chiefs official Twitter account, featuring a highlight of that play happening with that massive helmet-to-helmet contact. And the tweet says, "Dirty Dan loves making plays in the playoffs." And personally, that annoys me so much, because the league is trying to get away from dirty hits and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs, the supposed darling of the NFL refs, saying or encouraging that sort of hit, to me, needs some sort of repercussion. I don't know what that would be. I think you need to take that down. You can't promote the player being dirty.
If the league are reviewing it as well, and I think they are reviewing it from everything that I've heard,
they've reviewed it and they haven't. They've come to the decision they won't suspend him. That's as far as they've gotten.
I think I think they should suspend him for a game.
Yeah. I think either a one-game suspension or... I mean, because they won the game in the end, they're going to the Super Bowl. He should either be suspended for that game or massive fine, please.
But it just doesn't, like...
The NFL is fining players $15,000 for dunking over the crossbar.
Yeah.
Why are they not fining players for this sort of hit that they're trying to stamp out of the game?
Yeah. Because he's fully led with his head.
Yeah.
Like, there is no, like...
And the Chiefs' Twitter has shown a slow motion version of the player leaning with his head. His shoulders are back. His arms are down by his side. He's leaning fully with his head. They've shown a slow motion version of the play, and they've said, "Dirty Dan loves making plays in the playoffs."
I think if you didn't know it was a helmet to helmet, then you potentially have kind of, oh, you've made a mistake, it's okay, take it down. But considering that they've actually reviewed it, it just...
Honestly, this tweet, I need to not look at it, because it has a couple of angles. The first one is fairly fast-paced. The second one is a top-down view. And you can clearly see he leads with his helmet. The helmet is the first thing that makes contact with the other player's helmet and forces the fumble.
He hasn't made that play. Like, if he's caused the fumble, it is the hit on their player that has caused
It's the hit to the player's head that has caused the fumble. You get hit in the head, what are you doing? Yeah. You're going to shut down in some portion. You're not completely, but you're not going to shake that off instantly. You're going to have some sort of... I can't explain it without doing gestures.
Yeah.
You can have some sort of kind of, like, you're going to be shaken up.
Yeah.
You get hit to the head, so...
Yeah. You look at the way
the hit to the head.
You look at the way Mahomes was. Like...
Yeah. And that wasn't even a helmet-to-helmet contact. That was he hit his head back against the ground.
Yeah. It just...
Yeah.
It's so... yeah. Anyway. That's us complaining about how poorly the league has handled this. And I think it just... No, and so this is the thing. Sam and I think that helmet-to-helmets should be reviewable.
Yes, this was another thing that I was saying during the game. That I believe that...
Yeah.
I understand why certain penalties aren't reviewable, because it wastes a lot of time.
Yeah.
However, on big plays, on plays that you are reviewing, that you're looking at anyways, you have to look for player safety plays.
Yeah.
This is something that the league had a big go at Antonio Brown for not wearing the right kind of helmet.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. If the league really care about this, they would do something about it.
Yeah.
But
the league supposedly cares about player safety. Wear the right helmet or you won't be safe. These penalties so the player is safe. Yeah. Review the massive penalties you've got. Like that, you see it's a clear helmet to helmet. Take it back, give the penalty.
Because the only way players are going to stop doing it is if you throw a flag or fine them. If it's going to cost them money or cost their team a win or points, then that's how you make change.
Yeah. I mean, I get that it's not easy to officiate that sort of play because it happens so close to the goal line, and you're dealing with the pylon and the fumble and everything.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to look back at that and say that is clear helmet to helmet.
Yeah, absolutely.
The NFL preaches about safety.
Yeah.
Why don't you do anything about it? Why don't you do more? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is Terry McCauley, Sunday Night Football rules analyst, on Twitter said, it is illegal to lower the head and initiate contact with any part of the helmet to any part of the opponent's body. This is a foul. There is no way the covering official working the goal line is going to see that. Another official needed to get it. Yeah. So it shows that the NFL, that the refs, it is difficult to officiate at that point. However, you need to be able to review that.
Yeah, I think as well, this is something we've been saying all year. I don't know how NFL officiating works. I don't know how you become an NFL referee. I don't know if they review this sort of thing every year. But I feel like there needs to be a year in, year out review of refereeing.
Absolutely.
Because yes, every year, yes, they're humans. Yes, they're going to get things wrong. Yes, certain years they're going to get one thing wrong more than they're going to get another thing wrong. And kind of, in my experience of the NFL, every year is plagued by one issue that referees got wrong that year. Probably because
spotting the ball.
Yeah, probably because they're focusing on something else that year and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it may be this year they're looking at pass interference because they took away that flag and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because we haven't heard anything about pass interference this year, so it might be something like that. But I don't.
Yeah.
I feel really strongly feel that they need to regularly, like you say, Matt. Maybe not a test.
There needs to be a way to regulate it, and there needs to be accountability from the referees.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
And like we said before, we're just not getting any accountability. We're not getting any. Why didn't you call this? What happened here? What have you done here? We're not getting any of that. It's just silence.
Yeah. And I think it needs to be an independent body that comes in and goes, right, we're going to check this.
Yeah. So one of my plans for the next year is going to be to read the NFL rulebook in its entirety. I have given it a start, but I haven't done much of that recently. But I want to read the NFL rulebook in its entirety so that I can... Sorry, drinking fizzy drink at the moment. So that I can see these plays and go, and instead of being the objective fan and saying, "Oh, it's a flag," even when it shouldn't be, I can, as an impartial thing, say, "Here's what the refs should have called."
Yeah,
it's not actually Lucozade; it's 45p cola from Sainsbury's. Cheeky plug.
Also, while we're talking about referees, congratulations to Sarah Thomas on being the first woman to referee a Super Bowl.
Surprised it hasn't happened earlier, to be honest.
Yeah. It's been good to see more female referees in the league. It's kind of... It is showing promise that those fields are becoming more... Or that women feel like they can go into those fields.
Yeah. It's showing promise that the NFL can stop being a hate league.
Yeah.
Which is something I just came up with, but it's kind of true.
I think it's true in a lot of areas of life. I don't think it's just the NFL.
No, it's not just the NFL, but it
right,
feels like coaching carousel, officiating teams, they're all either old white men or young white men.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's much in between.
And it does feel a lot that they're pandering towards their audience, because we've seen the way that the American society reacts to things this year.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. So it's nice to see these different hires and.
There have been female referees before this year. I'm pretty sure.
I've seen lots on TV this year, which is why I was quite pleased.
Yeah.
And I'm glad.
But also, when I saw, can't remember if it was the tweet or if it was on Instagram of someone saying, "Oh, here's the female referee who's going to play in the Super Bowl," and the amount of comments I got that was saying, "Oh, she'd better call the game right" and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she's going to make a bunch of mistakes. I'm just like, come on, you wouldn't say that if it was a male referee, would you?
I mean, you probably would, but because everyone hates referees, whoever they are.
Yes, but these comments sounded blatantly sexist, blatantly against her because she's a woman. And I think that's completely wrong.
Yeah.
You have to look at her track record as a referee instead of, is she a woman?
Yeah.
Is she a man?
I think that's what I was going to say about Matt as well, is that it may not be... This is why I'm glad that that they've decided to have a female referee do the Super Bowl, because it shows that there are good women referees who are good enough to referee the league, and hopefully if they get more screen time, then other young girls who want to do that can see that is a potential option for them. And I think that's the question. That's the thing. It's the more I watch the NFL and the more I learn about America. And Americans, please prove me wrong if this is if you think I'm incorrect. America is all about money. And I'm not going to say that
that's what it does sound like.
And I'm not going to. Wow, my quarterback just threw it to the other team. I'm not going to disagree. There are elements of that in Britain as well. No contest.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just seems really evident that it's always all about money, and the NFL is really symptomatic of that. That's why NFL teams are called franchises rather than clubs, because they are franchises. They are kind of they have club owners and merchandise and all of these things. And like you say, Matt, everything is sponsored. So as far as I'm aware, there's obviously clearly enough interest for a women's NBA league, which is great. And they have uniforms and stadiums, and that league clearly works and has enough support. And actually, I wonder if that's because, I don't know, but I wonder if that's because they're either in big cities or small cities that don't have an NBA team, which means they're getting the fans that don't see the NBA.
There are a couple of women's American football leagues in the US. The biggest of which is the Women's Football Alliance, which currently has 66 teams.
Wow.
In 3 divisions.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. But again, I will use a European model for this. We haven't had a professional women's football league until recently because it just wasn't bringing in the funding. The only reason that it started to bring in the funding is because male football players are paying for it. Because they want it to happen. They want to provide that equal opportunity, which is really great of them. Also, they televise the World Cup because women's football is becoming more professional. Not all the World Cup teams were professional. But enough of them were to make an entertaining enough tournament for it to be televised. And then that television has made people go, actually, if this is professional level football, I want to see more of that televised. And so more women's football games are being televised. And I think that's the thing. That's the problem in America. Someone needs to take the step to show women's American football games, and then that will show if there's enough interest to make it a financial outing. And I wonder, the league has been looking for a summer league for ages, like the XFL, the Alliance, all of that. Yeah. Why do we not just have a women's league? And just.
I mean, we've seen that women can play at a high level.
Yeah.
I mean, think with I can't remember her name now. Sarah Fuller becoming a kicker at college.
Yeah.
And I think she got a scholarship off of that, so that she was kicking at the highest level. In that college.
And she did okay. I'm not going to say she was the greatest kicker in the world, but she was good.
Yeah.
And I just think.
And I think how many teams were against that?
Yeah, there is enough money in the world to make it happen.
Yeah,
I think there's enough money in the world to make a lot of things happen that don't happen.
Absolutely.
And I do think this is one of a women's league is one of those ones that won't because of the state of society. Maybe. I don't know.
Fun fact: there's a Jacksonville Dixie Blues women's football alliance team based in Jacksonville.
Do you know what the baseball team is called?
No.
The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp.
Love that.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree with you as well, Matt, that actually the US women's football is very, very good. And it's worth... it is worth them potentially expanding to Europe where there's a big league. Or they need to start developing a... What's the word? Or just keep developing so that they can finally develop... Well, I think they deserve a league that's as good as or as professionally developed as the men's league, because they're better. Basically.
Yeah.
Should we do some predictions?
Go on.
2 games. Really simple. Chiefs Bills. Packers Saints. Not Packers Saints. Packers Buccaneers. We were very close to being right for a long time on these ones.
Yeah. Right, so Packers Bucks is first.
I think this is really simple.
Woo.
Yeah, I just you look at the way the Buccaneers played against the Saints. I think they're going to get a very similar competition against the Packers.
Yeah.
But what did I say was the difference between the Buccaneers and the Saints? The 2 massive differences.
Running game and turnovers.
Running game and turnovers. Aaron Rodgers is the least turnover-prone quarterback ever.
Yes.
And
he's thrown 89 interceptions in 16 seasons.
Yeah. And the Packers
16, 14.
And the Packers have potentially 3 unbelievable running backs to get through. Also, we had a look at the Bucks injury report, and it's not looking good. So
it's not looking great. You might have a couple of receivers out. So where is it? Antonio Brown didn't practice. Wide receiver Chris Godwin and Mike Evans were both limited, which doesn't help. Ronald Jones, your running back, is limited. Sean Murphy-Bunting, one of your corners, is limited. Jason Pierre-Paul, defensive end, didn't practice. That's worrying. That's really worrying. Jordan Whitehead, safety, is limited.
Yeah.
Ali Marpet, Jeremiah Ledbetter were both full practice, so that's fine. But it's that Jason Pierre-Paul not practicing that worries me.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Total turnovers. Packers were the best in the league. They only turned it over 11 times.
Yeah.
Total. And also, running game. The Packers had 2 running backs over 60 yards last game. One for 99, one for 65. And another who went for 25. Everyone had over 4 yards of carry.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones had about 6.
That's what I was saying. It's the only way the Buccaneers win, as any team wins any game, is if their defense plays well. I think with the injuries they've got, and also the Packers O-line, I just cannot see them providing enough of a challenge.
Also, here's another thing, and Kat sent me memes about this not mattering, but it does. The weather.
Yeah.
It's predicted to be freezing or below on game day at Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
So it's going to be snowing. That's the reason we beat the Titans. Was because it was snowing so much it shocked them, and then we just we're used to playing in the snow.
And also, if it comes down, I think that's going to be interesting. If it comes down to running, it'll be. I think that that may be another area that will be interesting, because I think both teams can run the Bucks are starting to run the ball really well, and the Packers obviously can as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with
Packers have managed. Packers' run defense is getting better.
And also, last time they played, if you look statistically, one of the biggest reasons they won, I read an article on this, was that Rodgers couldn't handle the blitz. He threw 2 interceptions off their blitzes. But since then, Rodgers has developed in his throws against the blitz, and also the Buccaneers have been worse on their blitz. They've given up 14 touchdowns to 1 interception since kind of then, I think. So.
Rodgers has been 113.3 passer rating against the blitz.
Yeah. So I think
that he's been 125.2 against just a normal rush, which is insane, to be fair. But so that's a high of 0 degrees Celsius.
Yeah. I think it'll be competitive. I think the Buccaneers will give him a little bit of a show, but
it will be competitive. But
Packers goes to Super Bowl.
Go.
Is it the State Farm Bowl, or does Josh Allen get the Bills to another? Actually, that's a good point. Sorry to make Brady. I think Brady will step it up over last game, but he's coming up against an equally good secondary. So I don't.
And we managed to hold Mike Evans in check. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, even if he plays better, I don't think that alone is enough to win that game.
Yeah.
And Brady is used to playing in the cold. Yes, they have snow.
Yeah. However, the rest of the Bucs team will not be playing in Florida.
Yeah. Bills or Chiefs, Sam?
Bills.
I'm saying Bills as well. Yeah. From the Browns game, the Chiefs offense is amazing. Like I don't. I don't deny that. The Chiefs.
Bills match up really well against them, though.
They do, and they just. Is Mahomes? Mahomes is as far as I'm aware, is in recovery to start.
So he was limited practice yesterday. I believe he was limited practice today. He is still in concussion protocol. So he'll need to get through that to start. But he has practiced both days.
I think even if Mahomes plays, you've either got a kind of an injured Mahomes or Chad Henne. And I think Henne's good. Not good enough to beat the Bills' defense.
No.
And I think
Chiefs are without Mitchell Schwartz, who's on IR, without Kaliki Osemele, who's on IR, or Osemele. Bashard Breeland, one of your Casey's best corners, went out with concussion. He's questionable. I don't think he was limited practice. I think he's less likely to play than Mahomes is.
Yeah.
Edwards-Helaire is still limited practice. Sammy Watkins was limited practice.
Yeah.
I think,
I think the Chiefs... I think the Bills are built... The
Bills are built to stop the pass.
I think the Browns... They are, and also they've got fantastic linebackers and defensive line. I think offensively, I think the Bills can... Potentially, this will be a defense that can provide some trouble for Josh Allen. They're quite good at producing pressure and doing some coverage and run stop at the same time. But
I think the big thing is that the Chiefs have a banged up secondary at the moment. Yeah. They're not entirely healthy on that secondary, so they're gonna struggle.
Right.
And you've got Stephon Diggs and, as we're saying, Cole Beasley.
Yeah. I feel really sorry for the Bills because I think the Bills don't match up well against. I think with a healthy Mahomes, I think
the Bills match up well against the Chiefs because they have a really good pass.
I was trying to say the Packers.
Their linebackers and corners and safeties are really good.
Yeah.
If you think Tremaine Edmonds is great, AJ Klein's pretty good, Matt Milano is playing really well.
Yeah.
You've got Josh Norman, give or take, Levi Wallace again. Yeah. Tre'Davious White's been playing really well. Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer have both been playing incredibly well.
Yeah. Dwayne Haskins to the Steelers. It's weird.
I don't know if they do sign him, to be honest.
Mahomes took majority of snaps, so Mahomes is probably back.
Yeah, he was limited practice.
Yeah.
Took majority of snaps. He probably will be in, but it'll just depend if he gets sacked or hit. How will he cope?
Yeah. Steelers have signed Dwayne Haskins now.
Have they?
Yeah,
I can't.
I think he's a similar build to Big Ben, so I think it makes sense in their.
Ooh, they've signed him to reserve/futures contract.
What's that mean, Sam?
Let me have a look. Sorry, I'm just googling it. Okay, so an NFL future/reserve contract is given out by teams to players who did not finish the regular season on an active roster, whether they are on the practice squad or free agents. These deals go into effect on the first day of the new league year,
Right?
which is going to be March 17th, 2021.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's saying we're not going to have you on the roster now because we've finished our year. We're going to give you a contract here, and basically, it's saying this is your contract. If you sign now, your contract will start at a certain point. And to be honest, I think it's a good pickup for the Steelers.
Yeah, I think he has a similar build to Big Ben. So
he has a lot of talent. He has a lot of raw talent. It's just he needs to learn.
And he also needs to develop character, and I think the Steelers is a good place to do that.
Yeah.
So that's my...
Absolutely.
Yeah. Will he be a starter? No, I think Big Ben.
No.
I think Big Ben plays his final year of his contract and then retires.
Yes.
I
think that's probably what's going to happen. Ooh, fun fact: DeForest Buckner has been named Polynesian Pro Football Player of the Year.
Yeah, it's nice. I didn't realise that was an award, but I'm happy it is.
No, neither. Yeah, no, good on him. He's played really well this year, actually.
I still think if Mahomes plays majority of the game, Chiefs win, and then whichever QB wins, Super Bowl wins MVP. Yeah, that's true. I think. I
just worry about the Chiefs' secondary.
Yeah, I think their offense is nigh on unstoppable, but will their defense be able to make stops? And we will find. I think the Chiefs match up well against the Packers. I don't think the Bills do.
Yes.
I think at the moment it's the Packers' Super Bowl to lose, and I say that, and. That's my personal opinion at this moment in time. I think it's the Packers' Super Bowl to lose. I think they are clearly the most together and best team.
Yeah.
But I think they can lose it. I think that's.
They absolutely can.
I don't think it's a given.
As a Packers fan, they absolutely can lose it.
So, Tori, the defense is split into front seven, which is your defensive line and your linebackers, because there's usually 4 defensive linemen and 3 linebackers in your front 7, and your secondary is your cornerbacks and your safeties. So usually your front 7 is in the run game, your secondary is usually in the pass game. So the Chiefs not having a secondary proves not good for.
It's their corners and their safeties. So the players who will be running after wide receivers and sitting deep in coverage.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Which is not good for a team going up against Josh Allen and the leading receiver in the league, Stephon Diggs.
And also leading slot receiver in the league, in Cole Beasley.
Yeah.
You just described a 4-3 system there, Nathan.
Yes, I know there are different systems. I was making it.
No, I know. I'm not on go. I'm just saying that you described a 4-3 system.
So linebacker is sort of a halfway point there. To really sum it up, defensive line, it's their job to control the line of scrimmage, whether that's provide pressure to make a throw difficult or to be able to stop the run. That's the first level. Second level is the linebackers. Their job is to take away everything underneath. So that's kind of to take away everything before the first down line, really. So whether that's a run, whether that's a pass, kind of a short pass, that's their job to take. So they are slightly more athletic than.
They're sometimes called the second level.
Yes, yeah. So
because if you're running, you go past the line of scrimmage and the D line, which is first level. You get to the second level, the next wave of players coming at you, essentially.
Yeah. And so linebackers are more athletic than defensive linemen usually, because they need to do a little bit more running.
Yes. So defensive linemen tend to be anywhere between 280 to kind of like 300 plus pounds.
Yeah.
linemen tend to be kind of, you want them between 240, 260 sort of range.
And so your secondary, your cornerbacks and your safeties are the really athletic guys, because they have to do all the running, catching up with wide receivers and things.
Yeah. Now that's what happens in a 4-3 system, essentially, where the linebackers are purely kind of that sort of build. In a 3-4 system, you only have 3 defensive linemen rather than 4, and then you have 2 of your outside linebackers apply pressure to the quarterback, and so they might be a little bit heavier. So you get people like Khalil Mack, like Von Miller.
There are different systems.
Outside linebackers,
different players,
Yeah, so the 2 main systems are kind of your 4-3 and your 3-4. 4-3 is a good pass defense initially, in my mind. Using 4 defensive linemen, so usually 2 defensive tackles and 2 defensive ends, and then 1 middle linebacker and 2 outside linebackers in coverage, and that's fairly good against the pass, because it means you've got 4 rushing most of the time and you've got 3 in coverage. 4-3 or 3-4 is a little different. You've got 1 defensive end, 1 defensive tackle, 2 defensive ends on the line of scrimmage, and then you've got 2 middle linebackers rather than 1, and also you have 2 outside linebackers. Now they can be in coverage, they can be rushing the passer, they're pretty versatile players, and that's what the 3-4 system does differently, is they bring that little bit of versatility. Are they rushing the passer? Are they dropping back in coverage? That's personally why I prefer it. And why I use it in playing Madden and everything. I think it keys in a little bit more on the run as well.
What about nickels and dimes? So nickel formation is where you replace one of your linebackers with a defensive back or a secondary member. And the reason for that is that the offense has brought out more wide receivers, so you want more cornerbacks, kind of your faster guys, to be able to mark and keep up with them.
Yeah, so nickel usually has 5 defensive backs.
So that's 3 cornerbacks, 2 safeties.
2 safeties, or even the 2 corners, 3 safeties if you're doing a cover 3 sort of thing. Depends what your personnel is at the time. Dime is just 6 defensive backs. I like the formation quarters.
That's 4 deep usually?
It's 3 pass rushers, I believe 3 linebackers.
5 DBs.
Yeah.
So Matt, this is one tip for Madden players.
The quarters formations are a 3-1-7 or a 4-0-7.
Wow.
So that's 3 or 4 D linemen and then 7 defensive backs.
You may notice when I'm playing Madden, a quick tip for Madden players, it shows you what people the offense has out. So because this guy has 2 wide receivers out, I'm going to pick a 4-3, because that means I've got 2 cornerbacks and 2 safeties out to cover his 2 wide receivers. And my linebackers will cover his running back and his tight ends. So if he goes for something like 4 wide receivers, I'm going to go to my dime, because that means I've now got these cornerbacks out there. And I've got my one DB.
Something I like to do at the end of the game when you're in the lead. If it's a close game near the end and they need to throw the ball to win, I like to play quarters at that point, as long as I have good D linemen. Because that means only 3 are rushing. I like to be that middle linebacker. In that 3-1-7, I like to be that 1, to be that linebacker, so that I can key in, is there any short pass? Try and cover that. If there's not, rush the quarterback, bring some pressure. And then there's 7 DBs who can stop the pass, essentially bat it down, or stop it for not going very long.
Matt, if you don't know what formation your opponent is in, have a look at just have an idea of what they're going to do. So if it's short and you think they're going to run it, do like a 4-3 or a 3-4 or something with lots of guys up front.
Even a 5-2.
Even a 5-2, I love 5-2.
5-2 is an extension of 3-4, essentially, where those...
Is that an extension of 4-3?
Those outs... Huh?
It's actually an extension of 4-3.
It's a similar thing where you've got your players who are pass rushing at the line.
Yeah.
So with playing a 3-4, you bring your 2 outside linebackers down.
Yeah.
With a 4-3, you might bring an extra defensive end in or something, or another D tackle.
Yeah.
Or an outside linebacker.
So yeah, if
those ones are good for stopping the run, pushing back against the offensive line.
Yeah. When it's short, cover 2 man isn't awful because you're cutting off any short passes. Your worry might be if there's a running game that there are holes to run through.
I don't like playing man coverage.
That's because Madden can't do man coverage.
Madden can't do man coverage. But also, zone has more accountability, or less accountability, so it's less on a single person making the poor play. And also, zone, for me, I prefer doing 3-4 zone scheme. Because it means that if someone does make a play, I'll have someone near the ball to tackle them as soon as they catch it.
Yeah.
Rather than someone catching it and just being beaten downfield. So it's like when I go for blitzes, I don't like to call man blitzes very often. I do call them occasionally in certain situations, but I call a lot of zone blitzes.
See, I much prefer man blitzes.
Like I don't disagree with man blitzes, but
it depends on the situation for me because a man blitz covers everything up really quickly. So if it's a long if they have good protection and the play's going to develop for a while, then someone will get open. But if you're in, I don't know, a really short situation, it's worth just
really short man's okay. I just prefer 3-4 zone, especially zone blitzes. For me, with my, this is kind of going into what my defensive scheme would be. I go for a 3-4 kind of multiples look. That's very versatile. I can bring players in and out of the line, and they can drop back into coverage, or they can rush the passer. There's that added versatility. And that I could blitz the quarterback from anywhere along the line, or even from linebackers, or secondary. And even then, I'd only be bringing one extra blitzer, so I'd still have 6 back to cover, or things like that. So for me, it's all about bringing pressure from different places, exploring where the weaknesses are, and then attacking them.
Yeah.
But making sure that I've got everyone behind to cover, so that it's not an all-out tank blitz or whatever.
Any questions from anyone? We've talked through what we were going to talk about. So hit us with your thoughts.
No, it's a similar thing in online Madden. For a while there was a play called, or in Madden 19 for sure, there was a play called PA Crosses.
Oh, what a play.
Which was an amazing play. And I liked it in the previous version of Madden. In Madden 18, and then Madden 19 it became a glitch play, essentially, that you would just get open no matter what, and you'd get 25 yards touchdown even if you called it. Madden 20 it wasn't quite as bad.
No.
And I quite liked that. Madden 20 it's stretch plays. Especially when you're playing online. It's stretch runs. And there might be slants as well. It's stretch plays and slants. It's not slants as you usually see them in the NFL, where they're fairly quick wide receiver cuts and it's thrown to him immediately. It's slants where you let the play develop. The player gets open way down the field off of the slant. You throw it to him then, and he gets 25 yards.
Great question. So Madden is named after John Madden.
John Madden.
A legendary coach. And his dream was that there would be an NFL game that fans could learn what plays and formations and like how the NFL worked. And things like this.
So he was so where his claim to fame was a Raiders coach. So he was at the Raiders for 11 years, was head coach for 9. AFL champion.
Shame it's EA. It is a shame.
Super Bowl 11 champion. Coach of the year in 1969. His win-loss record. You ready for this, Nathan?
Yeah.
103 wins, 32 loss, 7 ties.
Gosh. That's really good.
That's incredible. That's a 76.3 win percentage as a head coach.
That's so good.
And he was 9-7 in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it as well, Matt.
Yeah. Just trying to see. But yeah, no, so he initially was behind. Also, he wanted the Madden game to be an educational tool.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Lombardi was a legendary coach as well.
Lombardi was incredible.
So Lombardi is what obviously the Lombardi Trophy is named after. He was the Green Bay coach who won the first 2
Packers.
Super Bowls.
He also won a couple of NFL championships in the year before.
Okay.
Or in the few years before. So it wasn't just that the Packers won the first 2 Super Bowls. It was we won. So Super Bowl 1 was in 67. We won the NFL championship in 61, 62, 65, 66, and 67. And then we won the AFL NFL World Championship game, Super Bowl 1, and then we won Super Bowl 2 as well. So he has a win-loss record of 96, 34, and 6, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And you ready for this playoff record? 9-1 in the playoffs. Vince Lombardi was an absolutely legendary head coach.
You say it like you were this.
I've watched enough.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame head coach as well.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is going to be going into history, but does anyone know Curly Lambeau?
I've heard the name.
So he's the founder of the Green Bay Packers. The team's named after him. But he is one of the players coach. So he was head coach player from 1990 to 1929. He was then head coach until 1949 of the Packers. So he's coached for 30 years there. But he is one of the people who is widely regarded as helping create American football as it is today.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he won 6 NFL championships with the Packers. His head coaching record wasn't too bad. 226, 132, 22.
Not bad at all.
62.4%. Yeah, considering that's like 100.
That's a great Lombardi quote.
350.
We didn't lose, we ran out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Packers.
No, Packers are third oldest team. So.
Do you know who the oldest is?
Chicago Bears.
No.
Or Chicago Cardinals, I think. Was it Chicago Cardinals?
Chicago Cardinals, who are the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes.
And do you want to
I can't remember if it was the Bears and the Cardinals were created in the same year, in 1918, the year after the Packers were created.
Interesting. Did you know the Cardinals have the worst franchise record of all time? So they're the oldest team and also have the worst win-loss record. Which is just so
That's quite
ironic. Yeah.
List of all time.
One of my favourite facts as well is that I learnt the other week.
Packers and Cowboys are joint tied in first there.
Oh.
And actually, it's the Buccaneers at the bottom.
Oh, is it?
And then it's the Jags, and then it's the Cardinals.
Oh.
So you weren't far off.
No.
Just the Buccaneers had a kind of run in the 90s or 70s, 80s, where they went like 0-32.
Also, do you think the Patriots should be renamed, since there's a lot of bad connotations of the word nowadays? It's a good question, really good question. Personally, it depends how you feel about the Redskins name as well. Because a lot of teams are named after kind of, I don't know, groups of people. Like, what's the word?
Atlanta
Just
Braves.
like they become more like legends and myths. So you think of like in ice hockey, they've got the Ottawa Senators, and you've got trying to think of like other kind of franchises and teams and things now.
Braves.
Atlanta Braves and things, yeah. So it's and you've got the Vikings and things, and you've got this is going to get annoying. Yeah, Celtics is a good one.
Celtics,
even though it should be Celtics, but anyway.
We'll admit that.
And things. So if you're thinking like, if you're thinking like sort of, I don't know what it is about sports turning groups of people into kind of this kind of symbol and this kind of mascot that sort of this symbol of your following. I think because of that, you can. It depends if you allow teams to get away with it, and I think you only allow teams to get away with it if it's done with respect.
Yeah.
And so I think you can get away with the Patriots because it's a big part of American history is the Civil War and kind of this I don't know, this kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know the word I'm looking for.
They have immense pride in themselves. What I've got.
And you could say that's not, and I wouldn't say that's necessarily a bad thing. Like patriotism in itself is not a bad thing until it's over patriotic.
Until it's disrespecting others.
Yeah, until it's discriminatory and prejudiced and just full on wrong. Patriotism isn't naturally a bad thing. You're allowed to be proud of where you're from, and you're allowed to be proud of the accomplishments of your country.
Yeah.
And I would say the same with the Redskins. I think as far as I'm aware, a lot of Native American communities didn't mind that there was a team called the Redskins because it at least showed that their community existed, which a lot of America doesn't do. I think the difference between those is that you look at the other sports teams named after Native American groups, and more of them are. So the Atlanta Braves in baseball, named after a specific tribe. The Chicago Blackhawks in the ice hockey. Black Hawk was a Native American leader. He was an actual person. And over time, it just got developed to the Blackhawks. But then you look at the Redskins and the Indians, and that's a bit like naming your team the Vikings if you were to call the Vikings a derogatory word.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is I think history has rendered words like the Chiefs as well. Chiefs is a good example of where it's done well. Absolutely, that's a fantastic example. I think Redskins history has made that name lose its power a little bit. That because we don't call Native Americans Redskins anymore, that it's okay to call a football team that. But I can understand both sides of it. It doesn't have to be a big deal if we don't want to make a big deal of it. But if people are being offended, and if we want to respect the Native American community and say that actually we understand that you don't mind the name, but actually we want to say that we've done this wrong in the past and make amends for that, then I agree with that side of it as well. And I think that will... I agree with your first point about the Patriots. I think at the moment, it's not a particularly dangerous word. Unless it is a group of people who weren't great, as Tori has said. I don't know my American history very well as well. I'm sorry, the Americans who watch us.
While we're talking about American football names, a couple of names I like, apart from the Green Bay Packers, I like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, because
I like that because Pittsburgh is a used to be a steel country essentially.
That's where they make
lots
steel.
of factories. Packers was a big packaging industry up in Green Bay on Lake Michigan.
I agree with you, Matt. I think names should represent the area more than just be a nice mascot logo type kind of. Does
anyone want to know why the Browns are the Browns?
It's not Jim Brown, is it?
No.
Go on.
You're close though. You're not far off. Paul Brown.
Oh, I knew it. Because their stadium was called Paul Brown Stadium, or still is.
That's Cincy.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, is it Cincy? It's one of them. But yeah, so he was GM and owner of Browns 1946 to 62.
Yeah.
And then was part owner and president of Bengals from 68 to 91. Was also coach of the Browns 46-62 and coach of the Bengals 68 to 75.
I mean, you look at the
Three
Browns.
NFL championships, 3 NFL Coach of the Years.
The Browns are quite a good example then, because they've named their team after a person.
Yeah.
Of a legendary person. And then their mascot and their identity as a team is separate from that. You've got the dog pound and you've got all the kind of the dog.
So sorry, you were saying Paul Brown Stadium is Cincinnati.
Okay.
Just to clarify.
Yeah. So I think when you're creating a team, like a lot of these team names are quite old at the moment. Like nobody has changed their team name in a really long time, apart from the location.
Apart from the football team.
Well, that's what I mean, is that they are the first to do it in a long time. And I think... what's the word? And so because we're doing it in the modern era, I agree, I think we need to be careful about how we're naming our teams. I think Washington need to... I do think they need to do something to do more with their identity. I don't know what that would be. But,
I mean, I'm going to create some funny awards for next week because it will be awards week.
Oh yeah.
So I might come up with something there. That's something to look forward to next week. If we manage to stream on Tuesday again.
It might move around. We're sorry.
So next week will be NFL honors.
Yeah. So we'll do our picks. We'll do our picks, and we'll do some
funny ones. I've got a couple in my head already. That I'm going to leave. But yeah, no, that's something to look forward to for next time. Got to reel them in.
Thank you everyone so much for coming and watching. Thank you to our new followers. Thank you for if you watch every week. We really appreciate it, and it's just we love talking about American
great to talk
with you.
about it.
Just,
I was literally
great question. Jameis Winston Award for the worst turnover. I love that. That
would be Carson Wentz this year.
Yeah, we'll come up with some good ones. Like that.
I have a couple of ones in my head that I'm thinking of.
What we're going to do after the Super Bowl, we will let you know. So one option is, because we've got a lot of work, we maybe take a break. The other option is we can look into scouting and what the combine and all of that.
Yeah.
But there will be less to talk about every week.
So it'll probably be shorter streams.
So it might just be we go to shorter streams, but Also, you let us know. Like, what would you be interested to see? Do you want us to go through what an NFL off season looks like and do shorter streams? Do you, or would you rather us just come back with when the season starts to do our thing? So,
I had the feeling that we can just. This was just off the top of my head a couple of days ago, but we can just hop on for a quick 20-30 minute stream every now and then when something big happens.
Yeah. It might be. It might be that over.
About it and
it might be that over the off season, if big things happen, we just hop on of an evening, talk about it, and so we might end up doing a couple of streams a week or something and do that instead. And so,
of course, we'd put it on our Instagram most likely if we were going to stream.
So make sure you follow. So you get notifications.
Make sure you're following that. Yeah.
Follow Instagram as well, because I'm trying to get better at posting on there as well.
It's Flag on the Play 100, I believe.
Yeah. Let us know as well what sort of stuff you want to see on Instagram, because I'm thinking of starting to maybe doing some more weekly posts of sort of in-depth things. Also, just send us a message on Instagram or on here or wherever. What things you like about what we do, and we'll try and do more of it. 100. Because I actually went with 100 because it was the 100th year of the NFL.
That's pretty cool.
So that's why I went for 100.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go. Fun fact.
Nice.
But we love doing what we're doing, but we want to make it interesting for you guys as well. Yes.
What NFL jersey would you wear? What number?
My favourite number has always been 14.
Yeah. Thought you'd say that.
Because it's my lucky number, because there are 14 letters in my full name. N for Nathan, it's my name, is the 14th letter of the alphabet. And when I played kind of weekend football, number 14 was my number.
Oh, yeah. I wore number 1 a lot.
Fun fact. I was just going to say, I'm not going to be in the NFL since you can't wear 100. It is a shame you can't wear 100.
No.
That'd be cool.
There are certain NFL number rules. Look it up.
It's interesting. But please
I've
give
recently
us a
got
shout.
another personalised Packers jersey. I got 13 on it.
Yeah. Good number.
Flying in the face of unluckiness.
Yeah. Why 13?
I like it. I don't know why. It's there's stigma around it, and I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah, fair play.
It's not. It's a number.
Yeah. So let us know what you want us to do, because we happy to talk forever, but one of our favourite things is talking to you guys. So let us.
And especially when it's multiple people, we get to hear lots of different takes on the same thing and things like that.
So let us know what you want us to do, and we'll do it. Awesome. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all. See you next time. Bye.